show. I'm so excited. I have, I'm telling you, somebody is a mover and a shaker. I was just last night, I was telling Coach, I was on with her and her husband on Clubhouse. I don't know how late y'all went last night, talking about ask us any questions. I was like, wow. And, you know, uh, I was like, Allison's like, nah, I'm not bold enough to do the ask any question thing.
It was good. It was good. It didn't get too crazy though, Mark. You should have stayed around. It was good.
No, it was great. No, I was taking notes. I was taking notes just like everybody else. Like, okay. So again, welcome to the Noon Show. This is the Coach Cass. And it's so interesting. You know, I've been following you and your husband doing great things for forever. You guys are in so many rooms. You know, your husband, the storytelling and the coaching, and you with your movement with love and the author and actually the first, I should have known when I joined Clubhouse, there you were already on it. You helped guide us through, me and Trevor. We had hopped on and you were like, there's the voice of not only reason, but just guidance. We were like, okay, this is how this thing works. And then you look up and it's already worth what, $1 billion or something crazy.
Yes.
You're always in those rooms, though. Coach Cass and the hubby, you guys are always in those rooms. And so what you need to do, if you know Coach Cass, is, or Andy, just grab them, grab the hem of the garment. So you at least follow where they're going. Where they going, grab them. And then you don't even know what's happening. You look up a year later and you're doing something. So let me give you some applause on that. You guys are.
Bless you, Mark. Bless you. I appreciate the love, man. I appreciate the love.
And I laughed because before we came on, you had a little shot of banana, because you have you got in addition to doing all that kind of stuff, you got to take care of the babies. You got to keep your energy up. And so again, I'm just glad that I'm just glad to have you, that you made some time for me. Now let me go ahead and we're both to do this, we're going to plug our books. We're talking books at first, but then it can spread into other things. So, Big Daddy and the Trampoline is my latest. As you can see, Big Daddy and the Trampoline, my little chairman. Then My Three Dogs, which again, My Three Dogs, all available on my website, Reinventing Mark Clark, and on Amazon. And then My Papa Is. And so those are my babies. And a shout out, Coach Cass, to David Miller, who has been somebody who has really just encouraged me to write those books and tell the stories. And I said this the other day, Coach, the part about the life that's a trip is when I did My Papa Is, I was inspired by Allison and her relationship with her dad, who at the time, he was in the hospital. And it just hit me, all the little games that they play, from inflating his mouth and popping the bubble and all those kind of things, that they played until she was in her 50s. It just made me, I said, I'm going to write about this. And so when we lost him, it's amazing to have this little thing, this reminder. And then of course, this back shot of him. When I see it, I can't help but think of him, and that's the beauty of capturing those memories. And then My Three Dogs, the same thing happened. So I did this one about our, we've had a whole bunch, we've got about 5 urns in the house of dogs that we've had. But this one right here, Brownie, who knew we were going to lose Brownie? And so again, captured here forever. And then of course, Big Daddy and the Trampoline. Again, about me and the girls and weight loss, and I actually and this whole reinventing journey. So the books were tied into my life, but I love the fact that just like a song, they'll be around for people to read, forever. And so I love your series of books about the princesses and the diversity. And so tell us about your books and how they came about and your story.
Okay, so once upon a time, my daughter Ava was turning 3, right? And she wanted a princess party, Mark, which most little girls want. But I had gotten off before that in terms of throwing a birthday party because she didn't know anything. But now at 3, Mama, I want a princess birthday party. I said, okay, I got you, baby. This was 2019. And I remember going online and trying to find, and you have girls, so trying to find a princess birthday party. I couldn't find a thing, good brother. I couldn't find anything. I said, this is crazy. How does that work? How does that happen? So I just started to pay attention. And when she went to the doctor, they'd always give her a sticker and say, baby, this is my favorite princess. Great job today. That princess never looked like her. I'm like, this is not okay. This is not okay. And so when I started working on the character, Princess Zara, right? So this is Princess Zara. And when I first showed it, once I first showed it to her, she says, Mommy, I don't want this one. I want the other one. I want the white one. Mark, I started crying. I was actually out to lunch with my girlfriend who happens to be white. We were both there crying, like, where did you get this from? Like, I'm Jamaican. Look at this skin. Like, we're so many different colors. How did this come about? So I started to think of that test back in the day of the black doll versus the white doll. How all the kids chose the white doll as prettier, better, smarter. I don't think it's because their parents woke up and told them that, Mark. I really think it's because it's not cool enough in the mainstream. Where is the mainstream hype to a little black princess? And people say, well, what about Tiana? Tiana, one, was broke, right? She had to marry somebody to maybe get the restaurant that she wanted. And she was a frog for the majority of the movie. So now introducing Princess Zara. She's a little girl. She's 6 years old. And literally, we hit bestseller within 3 days of our book being released. And it's just been so beautiful for me to see that people actually agree with the need of diversity. So what I've realized is that this book is not just for Black children. You know, this is to diversify our bookshelves. The story itself is around giving back. We all know our kids can kind of be self-centered. So on her birthday, she wakes up and her family is saying, hey, you know, our tradition, so it's about family tradition, is to give back on our birthdays. And I've actually had people tag me on social media saying my child turned 8 today and she wanted to give back like Princess Zara did. And so it just warms my heart of how far we've come. And since then, man, we've created the birthday party set, right? Because I have parents that have said to me, listen, well, where's the birthday party set? This is why you did it, right? So we have the plates, we have the cups, we have all the things. And then I realized that, wow, our worksheets don't feature Black characters. And how crazy is that, right? Like when you go to school, remember your school days, those characters never look like you. So I have a coloring and counting workbook that I've also done. And now we're about to release the second book in the series. I have so many people that have said, well, where is the prince? Where is the prince? Where is Prince? Well, here is the prince. So we are now releasing a book with Prince Jabari, which is Princess Zara's cousin, and the book is called Princess Zara and the Royal Festival. And it's all around dress up, because all kids love to dress up, and who your role models are. So I'm really excited about that. Seeking ambassadors like you to help to spread the word around it. We really want to impact at least 1,000 homes to start. And people could pick that up on our website, zaraandziggy.com.
zaraandziggy.com. People are commenting. I love the fact Deirdre says hello. Congratulations on the book. I want to get these for my kids. So that's where you can go. Once again, the website.
Zara and Ziggy. So Zara is Z-A-R-A, then it's ANDZIGGY.com. And Ziggy is her dog, right? That's it. Ziggy's her sidekick.
So you coincided with the whole, I guess the whole hype that's going on with the television series, right? Look at you. Once again, I'm telling you, you follow Andy and Coach Kaz, you'll be in a good space, because that happened, and that has to be a great boost, because everybody's talking about the Black princess and of course now we're getting ready to unveil Jabari, which is great, man. That's exciting.
I'm excited. Yeah, the big goal is to become a mainstream cartoon, the kind of thing that kids want to binge watch. I would say rush home from school, but they're kind of already home. So, so be able to binge watch. You know what's crazy, Mark? Research shows that racism starts as early as 3 years old. And this is why I went to children, because I figure, some people are kind of tough-headed, our older generation. So when we come to our young kids, we teach them early, like, hey, it's normal to see a Black child as a princess. Both Black and white and Asian and Hispanic kids can see a young Black princess that didn't have to get married to become royalty, didn't have to do anything to become royalty, but just be. And there's too many books that we have that's about the struggle. I was in an interview with a beautiful, amazing woman, and she has 5 boys, right? She's white, she has 5 boys. She was saying, well, you know, Coach Cass, I have diversity on my bookshelves. I have books about Black boys and girls. I said, okay, cool. And then she said, you know what? When I think about it, all the books are about the struggle. So am I really helping my kids by portraying Black kids like this? You know, we need to be able to diversify the storyline as well. Like we're all human, you know, we all bleed blood, and it's just a different shade depending on what side of the earth we were born on, but we're still in this world together.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I think, you know, this my daughters are. My youngest is 16 and my oldest is 20. And so on one hand, my girls witnessed the first Black president. And it was weird is from a standpoint of that energy and that feeling was so powerful. And in fact, you know, living in the DMV, my oldest actually knew friends who were friends of the president's daughters, you know, in the same circles. So, wow, that's deep. Then Trump comes in, and, you know, my kids, you know, being in Bethesda and going to a school that's not that diverse, I'm going to tell you, Coach Cass, it's been heartbreaking because my daughters have witnessed the cruelty and the struggle of institutionalized racism and before they're 21, you know, and it's especially my youngest is very you know, she's very informed, but she's felt what it feels like to have a peer group, and you start to see their truth or their reality, and it's not even their truth and reality. Sadly, it's a very complex thing, and these young people having to navigate it. I got to tell you, for it to be 2021 and be in the same space. So on one hand, we're gonna have flying vehicles, but on the other hand, we're still talking about racism. Like we're gonna be on Mars, and we're still talking about racism.
It's rough.
It's rough. And again, for us, for the older people who we know what we know, you know what I'm saying, we live diversity, blah blah. But like for the kids, I'm like, man, it's tough because in a sense, what happened was they got the truth at a certain early age, whereas we had to come to it. And I think when you come to it a little older, you have more to you're able to navigate it better, you know. And so I love the fact that, you know, like you said, with the books, a children's book, you're showing working together and love and how we have friends, you know. That's the other part that I realized. I'm from the Midwest, from a small town. So I actually had a childhood where I had really white friends when I went to their house and they stayed at my house and blah, 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 blah. What I realized when I got into the real world was that's another problem. A lot of people don't have that real interaction. They haven't had really diverse friends. And so therefore, they fall victim to the images that are presented. And like you mentioned before, the images sometimes aren't that diverse. So we got a lot of work to do, and you got a baby. So go ahead, Coach Cass.
Mark, let me tell you the heartbreaking thing. Someone tagged me on a video on Instagram. This little girl, 4 years old, went to school, and the kids at school said, I am white and you are poop. She came home crying to her mom, and said, Mommy, I don't want to go back to school until I'm white. 4 years old.
Lord.
4 years old.
And Coach Cass, this story, now again, it's 2021, and she's 4. Allison's mother, when they were kids, they lived in upstate New York. Same basically thing. They were, you know, they're kind of your complexion. And, you know, 4 years old, and the kids at home told the brother, Allison's uncle, that he was Black. And he came home crying and said, I don't want to be Black. At that point, there wasn't, color wasn't a factor.
Right.
You know what I mean? He came home and he was crying. So we're talking 50 years ago. And here we are in the same place. And so I think that it's up to us, people. I think people like us who do have a variety of friends. I think it's up to us to really start challenging everything, creating products that address it, having conversations, because it's really a system. It's not the individual piece. That's the saddest part I think about right now where we are. And we're starting off children's books. We're talking race, but I think the saddest part is that after the past president, it's kind of like, the side that wants us to be divisive or to be apart is winning, because it's almost like we can't even deal with each other, versus the same energy when Obama was in. It was that energy. It was like, you know what? It was kumbaya. It was, nobody wanted to be a jerk. Everybody wanted to be on the side of, let's work together. Let's try this. Let's try that. So it's up to us, I guess, to try to, get this out there, because I think when you understand that it is a system, that it is, it's not just individuals, it makes you look at it differently. And to be honest, I think a lot of us, our eyes were opened, about a lot of stuff with this situation, right? Like, you're like, wow.
I didn't know it was that crazy,
Didn't know it was that crazy.
Yeah.
Some people, you realize the ignorance. You know what it is? You said, you're from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I think Jamaica, other countries other than America do a good job with history. Because when you understand history, you understand things better, because you can understand why people feel a way about a thing. But when you don't teach the history, there's a lot of ignorance. And so therefore, that allows us to have the division, because when you say, I want to wave this flag, but you really don't know the history, it's like you don't understand what you're really talking about. I think that's
pride.
Right. It's the loop that people from other countries, don't really have. And that's one thing I love about Jamaica. You can get in the cab in Jamaica, you're going to get the history about a whole bunch of stuff. And you know what I'm saying? And including America, where you're like, I didn't know that. I wasn't taught that in school, And so, again, so Coach, you started off with the books because of to fill a need for your daughter. So does it stay in that vein? Do you have interest to do some things that aren't necessarily that are fixing the issue, just some fantasy? Where are you with the children's book thing, or is it a mission to do some things that make a difference?
So it really is to make a difference. Gonna make a change. Oh, for once in my life, right? So I it really is to make a difference. I will not rest until we become a cartoon that kids can watch, and preferably a mainstream cartoon picked up by a major network. Like, I want this to be on bookshelves, on store shelves, on websites, all the things, that it becomes a household name, because we just don't have it. I encourage every single person listening live and the replay to be able to go on your streaming service and come back here and say, how many main Black characters did you see? More than likely, there's a sidekick. They're the side person that none of the children remember their name, right? It's always the main character and then their friend. So what about the main character being Black and a female? Y'all let me know what you see. It's still not there. And someone tried to tell me, oh, the market is saturated. I was like, what is saturated? What is saturated? When I turn on any streaming service and it's like the girl power category, and I'm scrolling girl power, but all the girl power is lighter than me. It's just like, okay, we got to get it together. You don't realize how much representation is needed until, for instance, my husband and I, we ventured out to a fancy dinner this past Saturday at a Black-owned restaurant. Peter Thomas, who was on Real Housewives, so he opened a restaurant called Bar One in Miami. It's right on the water.
Okay.
It's like nice, like $42 oxtails nice, right? So it's nice. And so they even have like a bouncer at the door. So you feeling fancy, right? So you come in, great service. And when I enter, they're playing Step Back, You're Dancing Kind of Close. I'm like, yeah, So to be in a nice restaurant, supporting a Black business, having real prices, and then playing my music, it hit me like, wow, I don't know when the last time I've really ever had this experience, if ever. right? Like
Oh
a
yeah.
really nice restaurant. Like we're talking about, like when you go to the fancy places. So for me, I'm like, wow, I wonder if my white friends, counterparts, when they step into a restaurant, they feel at home because their music is playing and is their people, like it's just something about that representation. So for me, yes, it's a mission. And so many people ask me, like, why as a love coach are you even getting into children's stuff? Listen, love is love, right? And I love my child, and this is my contribution to the world. So I may not be protesting in the streets, but I'm creating systems to change the system in my own way. Yeah.
And what you just said, Coach Cass, is so funny because you asked that question, do white people feel that way? And no, because that's the norm. That's the norm. That's all they know. And I think it's interesting when you start talking like with your how you're talking in a crowd or on television. Like a lot of times white people get uncomfortable, but there's no need to be uncomfortable. There's no need to be uncomfortable. Again, knowing the history, just sit back and you ain't got to have a comment. Just roll with it as your white friends do. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's an interesting dynamic, and I think we a lot of us are talking this way now. And I always say what you just said. I've told this story many times, so sorry for those who follow me. You've heard it. Like you just said, the experience you had at the restaurant. I'm in Baltimore. It was the first time I saw the Universal Circus, right? I'm not hosting the, I introduced introduced the circus. So I'm standing there and they're playing James Brown and I'm looking around Baltimore and I get emotional now. You're seeing people having fun. And it was like you said, it was ours. It was James Brown. Yeah. It was, my man Cal. I forgot the name of the guy who's the leader. Yeah. It was. I started crying, and I was like, "Yo, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. We're not even conscious of." I was straight up crying. It was joy because. I don't have to explain nothing. I don't have to explain James Brown. I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to like figure anything out. It was just pure bliss. And that's what I realized that we're saying, like, we got a lot of work to do.
So I took my daughter to the Universal Circus, thank God, before the pandemic. And when those ladies came out with all their Caribbean gear, I'm Jamaican, right? So these are the ladies in the big outfits with the tassels and the things that you would wear to Carnival, but they're playing reggae, they're playing Trinidad's music, they're playing stuff straight out of the Caribbean. I feel like I felt exactly what you felt. I said, yeah.
And it's like, wow, because I think those of us who've had degree of success, blah, 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 we always have to be the explainer, the person in the room, the regulator, like white people. Do you know him? I remember, working in whatever, and somebody would get shot. Somebody would, hey, do you know him? Do you know? No, I don't know. But then it's funny because most of the time you didn't know. Okay, I do know him, but I'm just saying, just because he's black don't mean I know him, and always having to be that person to describe this and describe that. And so, yeah, it's real. And I think at least we're starting to have the conversations. We're starting to have these restaurants. And even Peter, he's going to open one in Baltimore. Now, that's interesting because, I was in Baltimore for almost a decade on the radio. And I'm like, now it's going to be, Baltimore is not Miami. Okay. And, Inner Harbor. Okay, it's going to be interesting, because it's going to be a big obstacle because there's a lot of factors there. But will it have the support of the black community, or will it be like most situations down there in the harbor, the 5-star restaurants? Right. But hey, the other factor is though there is a lot of money There's a lot of money by hook or by crook, so it's going to be an interesting thing. And shout out to Peter. He must have got an infusion somewhere.
But that's how people vote. That's what we have to remind folks. So Disney missed the mark with Tiana, but when it came to Black Panther, they didn't want to put as much money as they should have. But, the main guy said, no, we need to do Black Panther justice like we do everything else. And people came out, right? The top grossing movie in the world, like people came out. So you also have to remember, you have to vote with your dollars. And you have to show up and show out. I showed out about 3 times for Black Panther in a new outfit. Okay. So did the videos, did the things. They were not paying me. I paid them over and over and over again. I filled the theater with 300 kids to watch Black Panther because I saw that I was African for 3 months after I watched Black Panther. Like I was from Wakanda. I had a gold cuff. I had African gear on. For 3 months straight, I had something African on. And I was like, wow, the power for me as an adult to see this. But I voted with my dollars. So that's the big thing that we need to work on as a community is being able to show up with our dollars. Like, okay, you can say, oh, Mark, good job on your book. But did you buy Mark's book? Right. It's only but $40, $60 to buy all the books. Like, how much money do we spend on a cell phone? How much money do we spend on a water bottle? You know, we spend money on things. So we need to also put a budget to say, all right, these are the Black businesses that I'm supporting with my dollars this month and have a budget for that. Like, all right, just seek people out to spend money with. Like, it's very simple. I don't care if you don't have kids. You could buy the books for somebody else's kids. You could buy books for somebody's school. There are kids out there that need to read. You could donate it to your local library. So at the end of the day, there is no excuse as to why not to support somebody's business if you know that it's good business. Period.
That's true. And if you have a business, I never forget, you know, when I worked in sales in St. Louis, and it was an eye-opening day because one of the salespeople had been there forever, you know, back when we had expos, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, I'm in my 20s. I was 25 years old, but it hit me like, this is what it's about. Boom, there's an expo. He calls his boy. Hey, what's up? What's up, Coach Cass? Yeah, I need you to buy a table. All right, cool. Boom. So-and-so. Need you to buy a table. Boom, boom. Now, what's happening? Coach Cass is buying a table. She may or may not even use the table. But the understanding is when she calls him, he got her. Mm-hmm. So it's not about, like you said, it's support. It's not even a question of, am I going to do it? I got you. How much is it? I got it. So anytime we call each other, we're supporting each other. And that's how you circulate the dollar and build business. Now, if you don't support, if you buy, Coach Cass bought a table, then when you call me back, hey, Mark, I need you to buy a table. Oh, I ain't got it. Okay, now, you know what I'm saying? Even if I don't have all of it, I got to have something.
Right.
Coach Cass has to know that when I think of the people I'm going to call, I know Mark got me. And that's what we have to start doing. And sometimes, sadly, we don't do. You know, some people, like the multi-level marketing people. The multi-level marketing is fine. Every time you call me, you want me to buy something, but can I call you back and do the same thing?
Right.
If I can't, that's a problem, you know. But it's also getting into that entrepreneurial mindset. And I'll be honest, for me, it's been a learning experience. I'm kind of a new entrepreneur, and you know, I have a tendency. My problem is I actually, you know, almost give too much and don't ask. I rarely, if ever, ask. You know, and I'm talking about when I lost my gig in 2008. I never asked. I was interviewing the mayor, the governor. I was having people on this show for 10 years, but I never made one call and said, "Hey, can you got something for me?" And it's like, but you start to learn. Okay, that's how it works. People expect that. People expect that. Again, if Coach Cass, if I bought a case of books, you're gonna get a call from me, and it's no big deal. It's all right, you know. But again, if we're not supporting each other, then it's a different conversation, you know. And so let's get a couple of these comments. Robert's always rolling with us. Yes. Yes, that's right.
Created by God and stamped and approved. God bless our children. That's it.
That's hey, well said, my friend. Yes.
Sense of self. Yeah.
All right, my friend Joseph from Atlanta. What's up, Joe? Love lady. Love you, brother. Yes, and it's you know, it really does. I'm seeing a lot of people with the kind of the COVID situation, the health movement, authors. I'm seeing a lot of us getting out there, and that support actually is I see the support. You know, with the you know, there's a health spot down the street from Howard, Blue Nile. Everybody wants CMOS. Everybody wants, you know, and the brother's been there since they graduated. They're like in their 70s. And so they have this boom in business because everybody's all of a sudden wants the real thing and they want the help.
Conscious, yeah.
And so that's, you know, that's amazing. So, Coach, let's talk about, you know, we talked about the books and also your other thing is love. you are a love doctor. You are the love doctor, Doc. And so, hold on. I'm gonna have to find something for you. You know, I can't have the love doctor on.
Oh snap!
You know, and not have something. I'm going up tempo. Barry White would be the best, but I'm gonna hit you with a little.
Bring the beat in.
I don't know if you can love on top, but anyway. So Doc, I heard you and the hubby talking about love.
I love love on top.
Yeah. And so where are we when it comes to love? Here's something that one of my observations. You know, we've been married over 20 years, and you know, ups and downs as far as, you know, mainly me with career, you know, ups and downs, jobs and no jobs. And one of the things that I noticed with my wife, and I always say, is my wife loves and believes in me because she loved and believed in her father. And that's a powerful thing to have. But the other part, that's why it's hard to talk to people about it, because most people, including me, did not have the love of their father. So it's like, I'm like, wow, because when I lost my, you know, 300,000 plus job in 2008, didn't really return to making money for real, for 6 years. And I was turned into Mr. Mom. Allison was, you know, ride or die. I never felt that thing that I think ends marriages or what causes a lot of problems. I just never did. Now, granted, you know, I became a caregiver for the parents and taking care of the kids. So I stepped up in that way. But again, her faith and belief in me really was because she believes in her dad, you know. And I remember during that time when we had some struggles, Allison said one time, I was raised by a single mom who was probably kept it real. She said one time, Mark, tell me everything's going to be okay. And a part of me in the back of my mind was like, what? Like, you know, what are you talking about? Like, but I realized she really wanted to hear you say that. Yeah. And it's it's happened time and so I said, everything's going to be fine, babe. And I was like, wow, it was like coming from, like, my mother, on the other hand, would have been like, you need a damn job. You know, it would have been a whole different. She wouldn't have said, tell me it's going to be okay. She would have been like, you need to get, when are you getting a job? You know, it would have been, and even my mother-in-law, my mother, that look she gave me would always be like, are y'all going to be good? Because if it was me, brother, I don't know. And so, and that's real, you know, and that's real for a lot of marriages. But so that's one thing I've learned about love, is that's a big factor. And I hope to be the same for my daughters. You know, being there and whatever, them watching me move, you know, hopefully the same way. But so Coach, how real is that? And I think it seems like it probably is hard for people who haven't seen love to love sometimes, as far as when those challenges come.
Yeah, the majority of people, the way I see it, right, Mark, learn about love through porn, romantic comedy.
Wait a minute. Don't be looking at my computer.
Learn about love through porn, romantic comedies, and then dysfunctional family members. That is the majority of our world of how they learn about love, right? So you have this wanton desire to experience something that you've never witnessed and never experienced. You've never experienced a healthy relationship and what that looks like. And so that does, you know, create rips and tears and destruction in your pathway when you don't take care of it, right? We make love something that just is supposed to be like magic fairy dust. Like, oh, you know, where do I buy this fairy dust? And when you can't find it, you just say, oh, it'll happen for me. And so you fall into relationship with people or situationships with people. I mainly work with professional single women. So this is what I see so many times. It's like, all right, this works, you know, like, okay, I'm busy anyway. And then you kind of treat your man like a side piece or somebody that's around. And then we wonder why our relationships suck, right? So it's beautiful that your wife had a great relationship with her dad and that worked out. Now, sometimes people have a great relationship with their dads, and then now the husband is held to this like this thing that they can never achieve because daddy did it best, daddy did it first, and you always grew up your daddy, you know? So there's something beautiful about the man that you are to understand the history of the relationship she had with her father and being able to parallel that, complement that, and support that, right? So it's also being interested enough to learn the history of the person that you're with and what is their story that led them to here today. I, sir, was raised by I could do it by myself women, right? Yeah. Independent, INDE, right? All that, right? So they could do everything
That's
by
a jam.
themselves.
You brought that jam back. That's a good one, Coach. I'm gonna pull that one up. IEPE. That was a jam. I forgot who had it.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty much the majority of women in my family are single, you know, and what men had become was expendable or a do boy or here to fix the pipes. But other than that, I don't need a man. I don't want a man. You could stay over there and I'll call you when I need you. So there's a lot to reprogram in my mind to say, that's not all right for me, right? Yeah. It might be all right for you, but that's not all right for me. So we really have to pick apart our past and see, well, what do we want to create in our legacy and what are we going to do to change it? And essentially that's where I support professional women, because too many times they're in one of two places. One, I'm busy, I'm working. Yeah. I got stuff. You come on if you could get with it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right? Like, I'm here if you need me. And they still single, right? And then, or just miserable in a situation, maintenance man, something. And then over here, they could also be happy, right? Happy, but they know in the heart of hearts that they do want a great relationship because we were hardwired for companionship, right? And then on the other side, there's the woman that's praying in her back closet. She is praying for her Boaz. Come, Jesus, send him. But she doesn't open the door for the Amazon Prime dude. She does not leave her house because it's a pandemic. She's just like, I'm not doing online dating because creeps are out there. I'm not telling anybody I'm single because I don't want them to judge me. So she just by herself. And she knows that if somebody just popped in through her window right now, like right now I have guys painting the side of my building. So I literally have somebody looking at me right now. So strange. Anyway, so
I was about to call her husband. I was like, wait a minute, where Andy? You need to get home.
So unless you're trying to get with the window man outside your window, I really need you to put a little bit more effort to this thing, right? So that's really the lane that I've created, is to support professional women in their love journey from self-love, because I find that too many times we're not loving ourselves past a massage. Attraction, how do you really attract a person that really is right for you? Because I know for a fact you feel like your picker is broken. Oh, but I thought that one was the one, and it didn't work out again, right? Might be divorce, it just didn't work out. Like, So that attraction piece. And then now the third part is thriving in that relationship, right, Mark? Because you got Allison, but the years that you've been together, there's so many times that sucker could have fallen apart, right? So literally, there is an art and a skill to thriving in your relationship versus just existing and watching it plummet to its mass destruction.
Well, I think what I notice is a couple things. Number one, coming to the relationship whole. That's a huge factor.
Yes.
Because when you're whole, both parties get it. What do I mean by that? Mm-hmm. What I mean is, if you ain't down, if you are a mess, then bye. You know what I'm saying? I think that's power. And there's power when both people.
I feel like we're all a mess. I feel like
here's my thing. If you're a mess, then I ain't marrying you. That's how I work. If you're a mess, we not get married. And I think a lot of that came because I'm an only child, and because I'm an only child, I
said, work out your stuff.
Right. If I'm only, to be honest. So yeah, and everybody's different. If you're a mess, I would not have married you, because I'm good by myself. I'm only adding somebody who is going to be that, Okay. And so
I got you.
So if you're a mess, if you don't know, that's why people are getting married and you see all that drama, like you see those shows. That wouldn't have ever been me, because we wouldn't be getting married. When it was easy. No, she's amazing. I'm cool. We're going to do this. And then, so that was number one. Number two, we're doing it we both agreed that that's what we're getting married for the rest of our lives. It's not a same thing. And people be like, I don't know if I could just be with one person the rest of my life. Then don't get married, because whatever you got going on, like I look at the stuff I had that was kind of shaky coming in, it only gets worse. I'm going to be, the person's going to get older, and whatever is the weakest link is going to get weaker. And so again, that's what you signed up for. And then lastly, the young lady who I dated before Allison, like you said, that professional model piece, corporate America, started corporate America right out of college. We meet when you're in your mid 40s, and what she wouldn't do, like you said, she would not relax, and she would not, she was trying to drive her narrative. And the guys before me, they were, like you said, they were the window painter, the this, the that. They didn't have their stuff together. And so that was her complaint. Then when she met me, I was working in radio. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was fun, and I knew what I wanted to do. She was the type that would be like, okay, if you don't like what I'm wearing, I'll be at home chilling. She'd drop off 5, pair of Bruno Malis and 5 new shirts, 5 new dress shirts. Be like, here you go. Now, do I wear dress shirts to work? No. Do I wear Bruno Malis? Nope. So, she was driving the narrative, and it was like, man, you got to learn how to meet me where I am. You didn't even, the way you do it, Coach Cass, how you really do it with your man. You want to buy him some clothes, you at the mall, and something you want him to look cute in. So he's doing what he do. And then you be like, baby, come here. Let me put this on. And you're like, okay, let me get this for you. Know what I'm saying? It's a thing. Just drop some shirts off and keep them moving. It's like, and so, and then, so, and I see, you see people in relationships, or like you said, it thriving within marriage. Ain't nothing worse to see a married couple at dinner, like at the spot you went, and they're just sitting there just looking like they are in hell. You just be like, why?
Leave the house. Like,
why? No conversation. Ain't nobody smiling. No laughter. You just be like, why? But a lot of times, why? People aren't happy. But they weren't happy when they met each other. They never were happy. Or they had great sex. Right. Now you're 10 years later, and the sex ain't great no more. And really, y'all didn't have much in common but great sex.
That's it. And that happens way too often, right, Mark? I know I come across so many people that lead their relationship with chemistry. And yeah, chemistry is a factor, but to lead with chemistry, understand that health issues, financial issues, mental issues, familial, so many issues come up that is a cock block to your sex life, right? Oh. So if you literally base your whole decision-making of your partner in life on sex, you're going to be rudely awakened after a time, after enough dishes are in the sink, or bills unpaid, or, things not taken care of. People aren't sexy anymore. I don't care if they're the sexiest man alive.
So, Coach, it was interesting because I told Allison after watching you guys last night, you had great information about, like you said, like the like looking at your finances and stuff like that, which we did none of, which was like, that's scary, because you're right, though. Like all that stuff you never talk about, and then you get married and it'd be like, we never had a conversation. And I was just thinking, that's why, again, it's hard for us to give out advice, because the stuff that popped up, which could have ended marriages, it just didn't for us. Mainly because, as Allison says, I have no high highs and no low lows, so I'm always in the middle.
Even Q.
And so it which drives her crazy most of the time. But you're right, things come up you never even talked about. You'd be like you said, credit, finances,
So this is the love deck, right? So these are the 60 questions I believe you should ask before choosing the one. So on one side is affirmations, but on the other side are questions like, what is your most prized possession? Are you a saver or a spender? What was your toughest breakup and why? What's a problem you've been trying to solve? So you just you start to get in someone's mind. I actually use this with my parents, with my husband, with friends. I went on a road trip pre-pandemic with a friend, just a couple hours, and I learned more about her using this deck than I'd known about her, period. I realized that we just have surface level conversations, the putting out fires of today and then the recap of it, right? So it's like whatever happened, and then you talk about that happened, and that's it. Like, we're not going deeper in our conversations.
But see, Coach, that's funny you say that. Now, interesting. I actually do just normally. So come to think of it, a lot of those things I knew because I would ask that question. So that is interesting. I hadn't thought about, because like you said, we didn't go to the pre-thing. We didn't do that. And we didn't officially talk about it. But I think you're right. Like I told Allison, I have a system. I have a check. I call it a check mark system. You know, when somebody does something crazy, I'm not going to kick you. I'm just going to, it's a check mark in my mind. Like, okay, that's the issue, right? So I remember when I asked, we were talking about religion. We were talking about religion. Allison's dad is a minister, was a minister. And he was a unity minister, which, you know, for Black folks, that could be kind of weird. And, you know, God is love. There is no death. Love is the answer to every question. So she didn't like to go there because she didn't know how people would take it. So when we started talking about it, she was really vague about it. So in my mind, it was like, check mark on religion. But then as we got to know each other, I learned, okay, she doesn't like to talk about it because, you know, most Black people are Baptists or something more traditional, and she didn't want to open that can of worms. But then when, you know, I realized for me, that's not an issue. You know, for me, you know, and so you're right. These are the things, and I hear people always say, you're not who you are. The real you doesn't show up until whatever. I never did that. The real me always showed up, and the real me also, you know, was going to be a determination. Like if I, you know, like Coach Cass would have been, you would have been on the list, Coach Cass, physically, boy, Coach, you know, Coach Cass, she cute. And so we go out, but if you know what I mean, I didn't lie to myself. Either you ain't feeling me or something ain't whatever. If you ain't feeling me, then that's on to the next. I wasn't some guys are pursuers, you know, like, oh yeah, so-and-so, she's playing hard to get. No, I don't know. I didn't play. If you don't like, if you ain't feeling me, then we're going to keep it moving, you know? Right. And I think, again, a lot of people have a lot of games that they play with themselves and play with others. Yeah. And they're not really them. They really aren't themselves at first. The candid piece. Yeah. But if
that's a part of what I work with women around, being your authentic self, right? Yeah. And authentic self does not mean you lead with your resume. So that's the thing, right, Mark? That corporate woman you were dating, you know, more than likely she'd show up and tell you all about work and what she has accomplished and all the things.
Yes.
Like, nobody cares about that when they really want to connect with someone. It's like, yo, what do you jam to at night? You know?
Exactly.
Like, what's your favorite dance move? You know, like what's the things that make you smile? What's the things that make you groove? You know, where do we connect? And sometimes we mess that up. We do.
And I felt bad because I had a conversation. I think she's like many Black women, especially. You come into the corporation and you're young, and the older, and you know, a few years ago was the leadership used to be older. So in a sense, you would be kind of the company darling by the older guy, right?
Yeah.
But then after about 10, 15 years, you start seeing those white boys and women who came in when you came in starts to surpass you. But you're so invested, and it's a good salary and it's good benefits that you're almost stuck. And they still like love you, quote unquote, but you're looking at the numbers, you're saying you love me, but you ain't really paying. So it's this loop, but it's a security blanket that I think a lot of the sisters hold on to, because that's the relationship piece ain't really working out because the guys aren't really doing right. But this job is the thing I hold on to. Boom, you look up, you're 47, and even the person I'm talking about, we had that conversation. She said, I put too much time in my job and not enough time in myself, you know. And I remember what happened for me. I was like that until I was like 28.
Yeah.
Because in that moment I said, you know what? Because at that point I would meet with young people and I would just say my job, basically I would just say, hey, if an opportunity comes, you know, in another market, I'm leaving. So basically I'm saying, you're the second or third priority in my life,
Right.
which was harsh. But looking back, it was like, that's ridiculous. I would actually, but I thought I was being,
Honest.
honest. And but then when when that job passed me up and I didn't get paid, I said, let me work on myself. Let me open up and find, and start dating. And then Allison fell from the sky. But so, so Coach, how can people who want to get your books, but also who want to talk to you about, the relationships? Do you do couples? Do you just do women? Do you do men?
So my husband and I just got certified in premarital counseling, right? So if this is something that you're serious about, we often say do not have a wedding date until after you go through premarital, right? Because what happens is that when you have a wedding date before premarital counseling, you're just so focused on the date that you're not really working out your marriage, right? So let's do that, right? So if you're someone that is a professional single woman who is open to real love, or you know what, you're like, I want to do it, but I'm scared. Like, let's have a conversation. If you want support in your love journey, let's have a conversation. I'm at Inspire Many, INSPIREMANY on everything. You can send me a direct message on Instagram, but otherwise the website for Zara and Ziggy is zaraandziggy.com. So zaraandziggy.com, right? That's Zara and Ziggy. And if you want the love deck, that's at Inspire Many. So inspiremany.com, you just hit store and I have goodies.
I love that. Now, Doc, let me say this.
Thanks,
and tell Andy I said so. I listened to the story last night. Doc said, you guys were dating. You weren't even engaged, I think, right? When you did the trip.
Oh yeah. We were dating. Yeah.
You were dating. You do the trip, and you're somewhere Jamaica somewhere, and you heard Andy say something about comparing you to his old girlfriend about doing dishes with his mom or something. Let me tell you something. You need to tell him Marc said, dude, what are you doing? He was wrong. How are you going to bring up your ex-girlfriend's name?
Mm-mm.
What? Dude, this is not. So tell him Marc said he's lucky. Dude, it would have been, are you crazy? Like, dude, that's a scary. So basically he brought up an ex-girlfriend talking to his friend and didn't know Coach Cass heard the conversation, which don't ever be, man. What are you doing? Do you do that when she ain't here? So you quit talking to him on a trip, but you guys got it together. He know he was raggedy on that one. So tell him Marc said, what are you doing?
I'll tell him.
Because, and I love the fact you guys are, he's an amazing, in fact, I'm getting my coins together to actually hire him as a storytelling coach. I love what you guys are doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And briefly, Coach Cass, because you are definitely one of the early people on Clubhouse, just give us a quick. A lot of people, it's funny. A lot of people are like, I was just checking today. I've had 5 people I sent invites to, and they ain't hopped on it. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Some people think, oh, it's another thing. Would you please tell these people that they need to hop on this thing because it's pretty much it's pretty special.
All right. So Clubhouse does not pay me. Okay. But I do love Clubhouse. I am that person. So Clubhouse is an audio only app, right? An audio only app. And what's beautiful about it is that you could start a room on any topic, right? So virtual networking, they have some 24-hour rooms. So they still have an evening with the Netflix co-founder still going. Maybe my app needs to refresh. No, it's still open. Some people stay on this app 24 hours. Don't be that person. When I first got on the app, I wasn't sleeping, y'all. I was in every room, taking every note, thinking that the world was going to miss me because they don't record the rooms. So if you're not there live, you miss it, right? And I remember my mom calling me and said, baby, you look tired, right? Because I was doing my little Instagram video. She's like, you don't look right. I said, I'm on Clubhouse. So I invite you to join Clubhouse because you get privy to conversations that more than likely you will never step foot in, right? So we have been able to share stages with like a Grant Cardone, a Damon John, like multi-millionaires, if not billionaires in this space, and be able to hear their mindset or just be able to hear what they have to say on a regular basis, things you would pay tens of thousands of dollars for just being privy to. And then on the other side is connection. I told myself in 2020, I didn't want no new friends. No new friends. I don't need no new friends. But coming on Clubhouse, I've made some real good friends and relationships. I've been able to pitch a major network my cartoon because of Clubhouse. I've gained connections. It's just been so beautiful. So what I invite you to do is your Clubhouse invite if you're not going to get on Clubhouse, because we only get like 4. Right. So it's invite only. It's still an Apple product app. So you still have to have an iPad or an iPhone. But when you get on there, make sure that you create a bio that is worth reading. Right. So highlight everything about you. Yes, everything. The first 3 lines are the most important. Right. So the first 3 lines. Oh, right now I'm almost at 10,000. Help me.
No, go ahead. Wow.
Help me. So the first 3 lines is what everyone sees. And then after that, you could kind of share. Make sure that you connect your Instagram down below, because that's how people connect with you. This is the quickest growth hack for Instagram, guys. So when you start a stage, you don't have to wait to get on somebody else's stage. You could start a stage and talk on your expertise and invite people to follow you on Instagram and connect. Listen, in 1 week, I have gotten 200 new followers or 300 new followers. And I'm just like, what? On a regular day, I couldn't get an Instagram follower. But on Clubhouse, when people hear you and they like you, they want to do business with you, they'll follow you. So just in terms of gaining more social media clout, it's great. But then also practicing on stage and then just gaining new relationships. So overall, yeah, I love it. Don't just wait to get on everybody else's stage, create your own, but make sure that when you do get into rooms that you raise your hand and you ask a question if you have a question, but do not be long-winded. Okay.
Right.
Being long-winded will kill anybody's room. Kill people.
Yes.
So in 60 seconds or less, state who you are and what your question is. People will look at your profile picture. So make sure your profile picture is one where they can see your face, right? Pop of color, whatever. And then have your contact information in there. Those who are called to you will come. When you build it, they will come.
Well said. So look, this is, I think this is a good idea. I think if we call it something other than premarital, many more might actually participate before a date has been set. That's interesting. That's good. I like that. Interesting.
So then what we call it?
We doing something. We hanging out. No.
Is it marriage prep? I don't
marriage
know.
Prep. That's a good marriage prep. I like marriage prep.
You like marriage prep?
Marriage prep.
Oh, let me plug my 3 clubs. So I have 3 clubs: Dating After Pandemic, Parent Confessions, and the Real Love Network. So those are my 3 clubs on Clubhouse. Please do connect. I'm Coach Cass on the house.
Coach Cass, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I'm excited about your books. I will be ordering them today. And and so, we'll have to do this again. And you know what? We should do something. We should do something as a couple. That would be cool, right? So let's do that. That would be great, right? So maybe we can do like Ask the Couples one night. Allison has not been on Clubhouse. Allison has not been on Clubhouse once yet. So
does she have an account?
She does. She has an account, but she's not on it at all. But she's got 1 billion followers. So, if she did something, it'd be crazy. So, we have to talk about that. So thanks again. Tell Andy I said, what's up? And I'll be calling him soon when I get my coins together. Any parting words, Coach Cass?
Just in this pandemic, in these crazy times, remember love, right? Remember, there we go. Remember love, and to keep love at the basis of everything that you do. If you're married, remember the person that you're married to, you chose them, right? So act right. Please do act right. And if you don't have anyone that lives in your house, understand that you are still loved, right? And reach out if you feel alone, if you feel like you need company. Like, don't let a day go by where you cry and nobody's there to comfort you, right? Like, I know that this time has been tough for many people, and it's been a roller coaster in terms of health or fears or whatever, but understand that there are communities there to support you. So even if you're happy and single, like, listen, contact me. Let's have a conversation of how our community can support you in this thing called love. Thanks for having me, Marc. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, Coach Cass, take care, everybody. Be good, and I will have a great weekend, everybody. Peace.
Bye.